Welcome back to Advocacy in Motion. I'm your host, Tommy Finn, and we are here every week to give a vision and a voice to nonprofit organizations and individuals making an impact in our community. And before I introduce our guest today, I want to say thank you to our presenting sponsor, Niagara Conservation. Niagara is the leading manufacturer and distributor of water-saving, money-saving plumbing products. And we are especially proud of their work with nonprofit affordable housing projects, including the new Volunteers of America Oaks project in the Oak Cliff district of Dallas. But the good news is these money-saving products are now available to every homeowner. And here's my partner, Tricia Glowacki, to tell you all the good news about Niagara.
Thanks, Tommy, and thanks, Niagara, for your continuing support of nonprofit organizations. If you want to get the ultimate experience in cleanliness and comfort without breaking the bank and transform your bathrooms, Niagara. From toilets to bidets, Niagara has the perfect solution for any bathroom project. Niagara's award-winning products not only outperform competitors, but they also outdesign them. Thanks to innovations like stealth technology, Niagara's products can use half as much water as the competitors, providing you with a solution that will help the environment and save you money. Shop now on Amazon or HomeDepot.com.
Welcome back, and I want to introduce our guest today, Michael Belvin Anna Granbury with Shadow Shine. Thanks for coming, and I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
Start off, tell us about Shadow Shine. Tell us what your mission is and what you're doing and how you got started.
Yeah, our mission is really to serve as a catalyst for the siblings of kids with special healthcare needs, and really play on words. You know, with the Shadow Shine, we feel like those siblings live in the shadow of their affected, family members, and the goal is to make them feel special and bring them out to the light.
I think that's a terrific that you thought of that, and I know it came from a personal experience of yours. Mm-hmm. Anna, how did you get involved in
Yeah, so I'm a mental health therapist, primarily working with children and adolescents, and kind of knew the Belvins a little bit through family friends. We both play tennis, and so they reached out to me to kind of talk about how can we best support these kids that do have these challenges at home, just because we feel like that's something that we owe those kids. And then from there, we kind of sat down and talked a little bit, and then I joined their team and helping make this happen.
I know we talked a little bit earlier that you're all volunteers. Are there more volunteers in the group, or how are you structured to help these families and these children?
We're a board of 5 right now, and it's really, I would say we're still in our infancy of the organization itself. We really just technically launched to the public back in, it was March, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. March of this year. We've had the 501c3 since October of 21, but really all of it was behind the scenes. And so that is our team right now. As we start to form and put together the pairings is really where we'll start needing more volunteers. And we are actually actively seeking, we'd love to hire an executive director right now to really own it on a day-to-day basis. We all have jobs that we're working in, careers that we're in a day-to-day basis, but we really want someone who can focus and drill down and think about Shadow Shine, all day, every day.
As a new organization, you're just getting started and getting up and running. Mm-hmm. What are some of the challenges that you feel you have to overcome to really get this thing off the ground and going good?
Yeah, for sure. Kind of piggybacking off of what Michael said, looking for that executive director position. All 5 of us on the board have full-time jobs. And so there's just kind of a thin margin of time that we have available. And with that being said also, I'm the only one on the board that's not a parent. And so everyone is running very busy schedules. And so it can be hard to find times where we want to do things. But I will say, with that being said, our board makes such a strong effort. Everyone is so committed to making this happen, despite the difficulties with scheduling, and that everybody does have jobs and families on top of it.
Okay, tell us about the programs now, about your scouts and your sidekicks. Tell us how it's structured and how that works.
Yeah. I'll jump in, you fill in detail. Yeah. So the scouts are going to be a high school age kid, typically 9th through 12th grade, somewhere in that age range. And our sidekicks are going to be typically elementary, maybe move into junior high a little bit age children, so maybe third grade. We haven't fully, we don't want to limit it, but call it third grade to seventh or eighth. And both of those children, kind of what's unique about Shadow Shine is in order to qualify to be a part of the program, the volunteers, the scout or the sidekick has to have a sibling with special healthcare needs, and that gives them really a unique perspective on their ability to interact with someone else with that same scenario. It doesn't have to be the same healthcare need by any means, but the thought process is that they can walk a journey together and understand each other, and really just be an informal way of just having a kind of a buddy system, if you will.
So let me make sure we're clear, and may have passed over just a little too quickly, that the program is set up to support the siblings in a family who have a special needs child there who gets all the attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the point. And the scout is the volunteer.
Correct.
That
The older
person that helps the family with the child attention. I think that's a terrific concept.
And I think that when a child is under stress, especially at a young age, they don't really always have the language skills to communicate that to your parents. Also a little bit of like feeling guilt, right? Like they don't want to tell their parents like, oh, hey, you're not giving me enough attention in that situation. And so a lot of the time they'll either mask their feelings, or maybe they withdraw, or maybe it presents as behavior issues just because, their needs aren't being met. They don't really have the communication skills to communicate that to their parents. And so with Shadow Shine, the goal is to really close that gap between how a child is feeling, like no one can relate to them, and making them realize, okay, you know what, there are other people that can relate to me.
Right.
What are some of the projects how do the scouts and the sidekicks, what do they do, the events they do or the activities, how does that work? What's the relationship between the two?
Sure. Well, to back up, I mean, the application process, they work through that, and then we work to pair people together that we think will be a good fit, right? And once they're paired, the plan is for the families to get together, for an initial kind of meet and greet that Shadow Shine provides. Whether it's to send them to dinner or whatever it ends up being, to where the families can meet and really get to know each other. But on a kind of an active basis, the goal is for the scout and the sidekick together probably 2 to 3 times per month, maybe more. It's as often as they really can make it happen. But we also are very cognizant of schedules and what all of these kids are involved in and the logistics of getting them together. But it's to give them someone like a mentor-mentee relationship to walk, life together for at least a time frame. Our time frame on those relationships is typically like 2 years. That's a limitation of that, just to create kind of a natural break for them, whether that high school student is going off to college or otherwise. It gives them a good time together, and they can continue to interact informally after that. But that's the formal time frame of that relationship.
Okay, so generally your scouts are high school age, and then the sidekicks are probably younger.
Correct.
Members of.
Yeah. In regard to the activities, I think that we have a lot of different kind of ideas for what that might look like. I think as an organization, we really want to get to know each pair and hear what they're interested in. So if there's a pair and they love baseball, then we hope to get a donation maybe for baseball tickets. So we want to really get to know each pair and kind of be able to provide them with activities they're passionate about so they enjoy them. But just to kind of scratch the surface, we've talked about things like mini golf, movies, ice cream, dinner, and maybe some parents and guardians feel more comfortable with like an activity in their home. And so in that case, we've talked about doing like game night, arts and crafts. So it's pretty flexible.
Just the activities that a parent would normally be doing with a child, but their attention is taken otherwise at some time to the child with a special need. So just basic attention to the child.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I don't know if it'd be helpful. I mean, it may help where this whole idea stemmed from. I don't know if it may be already in the question somewhere, but I mean, this where this came from originally is I have two daughters. My wife Katie, she's on the board as well. We have two daughters, and Charlotte's the older daughter. She's 12 now, and then we had Evie, and Evie was born with a lot of special health care needs. I mean, we spent a lot of time in the hospital. I mean, overwhelming amount of time, and when their age difference, it's about 5 years, and so when Charlotte, like what Anna mentioned earlier, Charlotte didn't really know how to verbally say, hey, I feel like I'm being left out. I feel like I'm not being paid attention to. It came in the form of anger and other issues. And just by circumstance and happenstance of what happened, we, as we started going into, if we had to go to the hospital or something along those lines, we had some girls in the neighborhood, the Franz family, that would babysit Charlotte, and they're older, right? So, their daughter Faith was in high school, and Kate was in middle school at this time. But all of a sudden, we started noticing over natural interactions with those girls that Charlotte's, her anxiety and all these other issues started to dial back because she was being seen by people. And it wasn't so much that Katie and I weren't paying attention to her and giving her time, but indirectly we had to adjust our day. Like if there's an emergency that popped up, whatever Charlotte wanted was overlooked because we had to go handle something for Evie. And so it just, the idea formed from just this just happenstance that occurred, and has really grown to where it is today.
Yeah, so I think the intent is that a child realizes they have someone else in their life that they can relate to, and their struggles are important, and they have a place to be in the spotlight and have this special relationship without worrying about, am I being selfish or feeling guilt? And so it's kind of their own place.
Yeah.
Is there any special training for the scouts that they go through, or how, the criteria for finding them?
Yeah, so we've developed a curriculum training for our scouts. I think that first and foremost, the most important thing is safety. And so we've talked a lot about, safety protocols, and we have an emergency procedure that we're going to definitely train our scouts on. But after that, we want to make sure that our sidekicks' needs are being met. So we've talked about how do we best support them, how do we navigate sticky situations, how do we just build rapport, right? Some of these, kids might be a little bit hesitant to open up and things like that. So those are all things we'll talk about during scout training. We also want the scouts to have a community, and so we're going to train them in like a cohort kind of like system, so they also have, people that they can call on if they're struggling after a meetup maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned that they get together as often as they really want to, something like that. And I assume this is a big family grouping. I mean, the families are all involved and get involved with this. How often does that happen? Do you do family groups or training or something like that?
Yeah, our goal is communication is key, right? With any of this, especially when we're dealing with kids. And so it's very vital to us to make sure everyone is on board, everyone knows what's happening. There's a lot of feedback being communicated, one way or another. I think that the group outings are definitely a piece of it. Like she mentioned baseball, like our thought is, hey, we get everyone in the program together and let's go to a baseball game or whatever, have some sort of large picnic. But those are less frequent than the single interaction between the scout and the sidekick themselves. If the families of each family, if they form a bond and relationship and they want to get together, fantastic. I think that's just kind of an offshoot, if you will. Our focus is definitely on the kids, though, more than anything.
Yeah, and I think it can be done on a case-by-case basis, too. So we're not really setting up requirements, you have to do X, Y, Z. It's more of a situation where if, there's a parent and they're more comfortable with, well, I want to be more involved, then they have that, they can do that.
That latitude, yeah.
Okay. Tell us how to get in touch. Now, we'll come back to this many times, but tell us how to get in touch with you, your website. I know you have a wonderful website with a great video on there that just really walks you through the whole program. I think you got to be so proud of that and the story you tell on your website. What is your website and how can people get in touch?
Yeah, it's shadowshine.org, and just no space or dash or anything, shadowshine.org, and that'll give you the ability to You can go in there and apply, whether you want to be a scout or sidekick. You can donate through there. You can just put in a request to learn. You want to volunteer. You want to help. I mean, there's action items, just like a lot of other websites would have. But there's a lot of ways to get in touch with us that way, and we can get you plugged in. However, someone's looking to help.
Okay. We'll come back in just a minute. I want to take a little break and talk about one of our other sponsors here, but we'll come back, talk about how people can really help and how to get involved with you guys. Again, I want to thank Prana Haven, Energy, Wellness, and Gifts for the Soul in downtown Richardson, this wonderful old gift shop there. They've been a sponsor for ours since the beginning and do so much in the community. We've mentioned the many gifts for the soul that you'll find there, but wellness is important to everyone. And you can take charge of your health by committing to the practice of relaxation and rejuvenation that Prana Haven healing sessions provide. Healing energy can improve stress and anxiety levels, reduce physical and emotional pain, and improve quality of sleep. Check out pranahaven.com for all the gifts and psychic readings you'll find there, and contact Terry at pranahaven.com to book your healing sessions. TERI at pranahaven.com. And speaking of that, it's appropriate to mention that Terry and the people at Prana Haven introduced us to you. We reach out through our social media and through our show. If you know someone in the community that's giving back, that's doing some good work, let us know. I got a call. They said maybe a customer came in and talked about you guys. They called me. They said, hey, talk to these people, see if you can get them on the show. They're doing some really good work out there. So we appreciate that, and that's how the system works. And again, if there's anybody listening or watching that knows somebody that we could reach out to, please let us know. I'm Thomas at tjadvocacy.com, and we'll do it. And this is how it works. So I think that's great. Every nonprofit has to find a balance between your mission and fundraising. It just has to happen. Tell us a little bit about how people can get involved and some of the things they can do to help.
Yeah, so in regards to donations, that's huge for us because that's how we're able to let these kids do activities and provide meals for them. And also just in terms of spreading awareness, like the video, that's how they found us in Richardson and connected us with you guys.
Right.
And so that's been huge.
Terrific. Any other ways that people can help? Are you looking for volunteers? You're looking for a director? Correct?
Yeah.
And they go to the website and do that. Any other tips on how to best support siblings and children with special needs that you've learned through this that parents can do and work within the system?
Yeah, I mean, when this idea was getting off the ground, another one of the board members, Chad Ray, and I were literally just having lunch, and he knew about Evie, he knew about her medical history, so he's asking me about her, and it was just happened to be during a time frame where Evie was healthy, she was at home, we're in a good spot, but Charlotte was displaying her struggles, right? From an emotion standpoint. And so he and I were just visiting and talking about it. And he's like, I've never even thought to ask about Charlotte and how it affects it. And so I at that lunch is where the spark kind of came into play. I was like, you're right, that doesn't exist. And so I started looking and researching, and really everything that I found was very focused on obviously the child with the special health care need, right? That's what the focus was on. And there's incredible organizations that work on that, but there's nothing really out there to work with the sibling. And just through research, talking to, I just got connected to some other people around Dallas that were either trying to run programs or whatnot. I just found there's a lot of siblings that are like, I wish I'd had this as a child myself. I'm a sibling of someone with special health care needs, and now they're in their 30s and 40s, right? And they're like, I never really knew how much I built up internally until I got to as an adult. And so, as we discuss, and just with Anna's background, like the thought process of attacking is not probably the best word, but going after this earlier and having these kids have a safe space where they can communicate with a peer, whether it be older or younger, dealing with the same issues, just seemed like a natural fit and needs to be addressed.
For sure. And I think just for some tips on like how to best support those kiddos for everyone, I think making an effort to check in on those kids. I think that as humans, we care so much. And so it's our natural instinct when we see a kid and, their sibling has a special healthcare need to say like, how is so-and-so doing? And with all the good intent in the world, but, sometimes we don't realize that can make them, not feel as seen. Mm-hmm. And so it's definitely okay to ask that, but also to check in on them. Like, how are you? How's school? And kind of just showing that care there. I think also respecting boundaries goes a long way. So recognizing if a kid does have a wall up, maybe they don't want to talk about their sibling today, and that's okay, we can talk about something else. Or, maybe they do, and just listening and validating their feelings. And I think using words carefully, because, you don't know what their parents have communicated to them about their siblings' special healthcare need, or even if you think they're going to be okay, that might not be, there might be more to the story. So I think just using language carefully can also be helpful.
Yeah.
We've talked about a lot of things, and we talked earlier that this is your time to tell us what you want our audience to know. What have I missed? What have we missed? Is there something you want to add, Anna, that just that we haven't talked about that you want people to know about?
I think that for us, something that's just been so incredibly special is, Michael touched on this earlier, but tapping into this population that has really never been explored before. And, kind of like Michael was saying, when you do research, every book, every website, it talks about the child with the special healthcare needs. And that's kind of a good parallel for how those kids feel that are siblings. Everything goes back to their sibling. Mm-hmm. And so I think for us, just being able to raise awareness and be a resource is such an honor. And I also think, that thinking about a lot of resources that are out there, I love that Shadow Shine is one that is accessible in the sense that there's no financial commitment. So, if you are geographically located for it, you can participate.
Right.
And what is your geographic location? Is it DFW or are you?
So I think a lot of it is kind of case by case, just depending the applications we get. But yeah, right now we're starting in Dallas, Richardson, kind of Metroplex area. But we definitely have hopes of branching out in the future.
Yeah, we really like to nurture it right off the bat in the DFW Richardson area. And they obviously, the thought process is like you don't want to scout driving from Frisco down to 30 minutes away somewhere, right? They need to be in the same community is our feeling. But we also see as this organization grows, as it takes off, I mean, you literally could lift up the idea of it, place it in Sacramento or something, and have it work just as well as it does. But it's really going to be, I think, community driven in the neighborhoods that these kids live in.
Well, you kind of touched on my next question about what's the goals for the future.
Oh,
so
got a little ahead.
Now that's great. You're a little bit ahead of me. So growth, I suppose,
growth,
and getting
for
more
sure.
people involved.
Growth on the leadership board, growth in the program, just with spreading word. Growth. I think we want to really build relationships with physicians and schools. Therapists, just to build a network, and so that we can be that referral resource for them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's terrific. Once again, website, how can people help? Mm-hmm. How can they donate? Let's make sure we know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, shadowshine.org. You can also email joy, like JOY, at shadowshine.
Okay.
Oh gosh, is it .com? Shadowshine.com. I think it's joy at shadowshine.com. I'm having a mental blank right now.
That's great. We can make sure we get it right, because that's the whole point.
Yeah.
The whole point of being here is not to be so polished, but just to have the conversation and let people know what you want them to know.
For sure. And I think if you can't donate, just spreading the word and letting people know, like even that's how we found you.
Yeah.
Just through word of mouth, really, it goes a long way.
I think that's
Definitely.
terrific. Thank you so much for being here, for sharing your story, and hopefully people can get in touch and help. And I want to thank sponsors Niagara for allowing us to do this, and for Piranha Haven in downtown Richardson, which is in your neighborhood. And if anybody stops into Piranha Haven, thank them for putting us in touch with Shadow Shine. And if you see Alex in there, tell her dad said hello. This is a family business. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate it.
All right.